Russian troops flooded. Russian casualties are increasing day by day. Hello, the Pioneer viewers. As you know, our agenda is the Russia-Ukraine war. The war continues with fierce clashes on the front line. Both armies are experiencing great difficulties in the days when the clashes are increasing. Due to the worsening seasonal conditions, both sides are experiencing moments of difficulties. The difficulties experienced by the parties also reveal the conditions of the region. Since ancient times, geography has been a determining factor in the conditions of war. Many factors such as landforms, climate conditions, and the water resources of the region where the war takes place have been decisive. Political decision makers need to calculate the determining factors well before making a war decision. Every possibility that it is not calculated causes many negative situations at the times of war. For this reason, it is of great importance that even small details are calculated and acted upon. Following Russia's invasion attempt against Ukraine, major conflicts have taken place and continue to take place on Ukrainian territory. The conflict in the region is approaching its second year. Since the first days of the war, the Russian army has exhausted the resources at its disposal. In the current situation, the Russian army is experiencing resources problems. The Ukrainian army, on the other hand, turned its disadvantageous positions in the first days into an advantage. Kiev, which is strengthening its army with the support it received, achieved unexpected success with its performance in the war. The problems in the Russian army, on the other hand, continue to increase. There have been new developments regarding the incompetent Russian commanders we mentioned in the past days. Russian soldiers of the Russian army expressed their reactions in the video. A more interesting fact emerged in the second video published by the Russian soldier. Now, if you are ready, let's examine the latest developments together. As the Pioneer, we continue to report on Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. I also read all your comments on our videos. Please continue to share your ideas about our content in the comments. Let's start if you are ready. The Pioneer reports. A video released by the Russian soldiers in the other day was watched by thousands of people in a short time. The details in the video, which attracted great attention, surprised the viewers. In the video published, the difficulties experienced by the Russian military unit was stated. The Russian unit stationed on the island on the Dnieper River in Ukraine stated that they experienced very difficult conditions in the region. Before being sent to the region, the Russian unit had released a video stating that the Russian commander had sent them to their death. Russian soldiers also admitted that their commander had sent false reports to Moscow. The news reveals the states of the chain of command in the Russian army. The video showed the waters of the Dnieper River rising and flooding the area where the Russian unit was stationed. The soldiers giving a speech said that certain death awaited the troops stationed on the island. The Russian soldiers criticized the commander who had sent the Russian troops there under the circumstances. It was explained by the soldiers that the decisions and practices of the commanders on the front line often led to bad results. After the video was published, the families of the Russian soldiers reacted very strongly. The problems of the Russian army, which has received many criticisms on the internet, seem to have grown. Protests against the Kremlin are organized by the families of soldiers within Russia, but the organized protests are prevented in a short time. For this reason, the rising reactions in Russia are not brought to the agenda. Since the first days of the war, many videos have been shared by the Russian soldiers from different regions. In the videos shared by the Russian soldiers, videos showing their demands for the support and the difficult conditions they live in were frequently shared. Russian soldiers state that it is difficult to solve problems due to the indifferent attitude of commanders. Likewise, it is stated that the steps to solve the problem are not taken due to the Moscow's pressure. In a previous video shared by the Russian soldiers, soldiers assigned to the Dnieper Island by the Russian commander said that they were deliberately sent to their death. It was stated that the Russian commander used the soldiers to cover up his past mistakes. The last video shared was a very important source in the terms of showing difficulties experienced by the Russian troops sent to the Dnieper Island. Speaking in the video, the soldier showed the huts and stated the flooded equipment. Stating that all sleeping areas of the Russian troops in the region were flooded, the soldier explained that even sleeping was quite impossible. The Russian soldier stated that they heard Ukrainian drones patrolling the area and the sounds of Ukrainian artillery. He said that they were very worried about the sounds they heard and the possibility of a Ukrainian counterattack. Russian troops feel hopeless about their surroundings. Many Russian soldiers think they will never get out of there. Pointing to the water outside the tent, the soldier then addressed this commander, saying, "Where are you sending us to die?" The difficulties faced by the Russian soldiers also negatively affect the morale of soldiers on other fronts of the war. According to the information we obtained from local sources, unrest is increasing within the Russian army. Russian soldiers seems to have lost the will to fight after seeing their friends who were deliberately sent to their death. After the published videos, many Russian soldiers also try to give morale to the soldiers on the island by sharing messages of support. But the problems of the Russian army do not seem to be solved. Russian commanders are also working under intense pressure due to the Moscow's stubborn stance. The Kremlin administration, which has fewer and fewer chances to act politically, is drifting towards despair. Russian troops on the front line are likely to have a very difficult time surviving the coming winter. It is known that there are major problems in the coordination and logistics of the Russian troops. Since the first days of the war, Ukrainian counterattacks have carried out significant attacks targeting Russian logistics. As a result of these attacks, logistics to the Russian troops were seriously disturbed. Ukrainian officials who made statements before the approaching winter period stated that the strategy continues. He was determined that the Ukrainian army circled the regions where the Russian army was located in the ongoing counterattacks. With the arrival of winter, some lands are expected to freeze. The Ukrainian army wants to increase its gains before waiting for the lands to freeze. After reaching certain points, it is desired to maintain a strong position by making reinforcements. A statement was made by the Air Force of the Ukrainian Armed Forces last night. In the statement, it was stated that the Ukrainian defense prevented a Russian attack. All 21 drones used by the Russian troops to attack Ukraine were destroyed by the Ukrainian defense. It was stated that the Ukrainian defense will continue to defend successfully. What do you think about the situation of the Russian troops on the island? Do you think the problems in the Russian army will be solved? What do you think is the main problem in the Russian army? What do you think about the offensive and defensive capabilities of the Ukrainian army? We care about your opinion. Please share it with us.